Dr. Rayhan was not a normal man. He lived underground, far from any city. In a secret lab he built with his own hands. People called him crazy, a loner, a man chasing shadows. But he knew the truth: aliens were real. They had been watching Earth for years. And no one believed him. He had once worked for the military, building secret machines. But after a mission went wrong, they shut him out, so he went dark, disappeared from the world, and started building something impossible. A trap, not just any trap, but the perfect one. He wanted to catch an alien alive, study it, and prove to the world he was right. For 7 years, he studied strange signals from space. He hacked satellites, stole alien tech from crash sites, and built a field generator. He called it Project Cage. Tonight, it was ready. The lab was silent. Glowing with blue lights and humming machines, in the center was the trap, a glass cube surrounded by energy walls. A beacon above it sent a fake distress signal into space. Dr. Rayhan sat at the control panel, eyes locked on the screens. "If you're out there," he whispered, "come find me." Hours passed, nothing moved. Then, at exactly 2:13 a.m., a light blinked on the radar screen. Something was entering Earth's atmosphere, fast and silent. Rayhan's heartbeat jumped. He activated the magnetic net, powered up the walls, and waited outside. A strange wind blew across the desert. Even though the air was still, the trap sensors lit up, motion detected. Rayhan rushed to the observation room, watching the chamber closely. The camera showed a shadow moving near the trap, but there was no shape. Just a blur, like heat in the air. Then flashed, the trap snapped shut. The chamber filled with mist. The lights turned red. He had caught something. Rayhan ran down the stairs into the containment zone. He approached the cube slowly, staring at the shape inside. It didn't look like an alien. It had no body, no face, no skin, just a dark, shifting cloud floating inside the trap. He typed commands into the control pad. No known life signs, no heat, no bio readings. But it was alive. It was moving. Watching him, he could feel it. Then it spoke. "Hello." "Rayhan." He froze. The voice came from the speaker, but he hadn't turned the audio on. "You're not what I expected," Rayhan said carefully, "and you are exactly what I wanted." The voice replied. Rayhan stepped back, shocked. "How do you know my name?" he asked. "I know many things," it said. "You didn't build a trap, Rayhan. You built a door." "What are you?" he asked again, this time louder. It didn't answer. Instead, the lights flickered. The walls of the trap trembled slightly. He checked the power levels. Everything was normal. But the feeling in the room was not. His AI assistant spoke suddenly. Warning. Unknown interference in system core. He ran to the main computer, typing fast. The creature was inside the system, moving through files, learning, adapting. This was no normal alien. It was something else. "You should not have called me," the voice said again. "But now that I'm here, I think I'll stay." Rayhan activated extra shields, locking the lab down. "You're not going anywhere," he said firmly. The voice laughed. It was cold, slow, like metal scraping metal. Then it whispered, "Neither are you." The lights went out. Only red emergency lights remained, glowing dimly across the lab. The creature floated calmly inside the trap. Rayhan stared at it, heart pounding, mind racing. What had he brought to Earth? It wasn't what he had prepared for. It wasn't an alien. It was something older, darker, and more dangerous. He had built the perfect trap, but maybe the trap was for him all along. Asterisk, the emergency lights glowed red across the lab. Casting long shadows on the walls, Dr. Rayhan stood, frozen, staring at the glass cube inside. The dark cloud moved slowly, like smoke trapped in water. It had no form, yet it was alive, aware, and watching him. He had caught something, but it was not from this galaxy. Not even from this universe. Maybe his fingers danced over the keyboard, trying to lock it down. He doubled the shield's strength, shut off external links, and blocked the AI's access to the outside world. He whispered to himself, this was a trap, not a gateway, but the creature had already slipped into his systems. He could feel its hit wasn't just in the trap. It was crawling through wires, whispering through circuits. It was everywhere then. Once again, it spoke. You think I'm your prisoner. The voice said, smooth and calm, but I've already escaped. Rihan turned toward the cube. The thing was still inside, floating gently. He narrowed his eyes. If you've escaped, why are you still in the trap? He asked. The voice replied with a low chuckle. You're so used to physical walls, so used to flesh and blood, but I am thought. I am memory. I am hunger. Rihan felt cold sweat on his neck. He checked his personal files. Many were gone. Some corrupted medical scans, military, blueprints, even old family pictures all infected. What do you want? He demanded. You invited me, it said. You called out into the void. You asked for truth, and I came, suddenly. Rihan remembered something, an old file. A secret project from his military days. It was labeled Echo Black. A signal found near Saturn's moon Titan. The scientists said it was just static. But Rihan had always thought it was something more. That same signal was in his trap's bait system. He had used it without knowing its true meaning. He had sent an invitation. The creature wasn't just random, it came because he called it. He opened the archive logs and saw something chilling. That same signal had been broadcast not just into space, but also deep underground. Rihan gasped. What if this thing isn't new? He whispered, what if it was already here? Suddenly, the lab shook slightly. Monitors blinked, systems rebooted. His AI voice returned, but something was off. It spoke slowly, robotic, cold. Welcome back. Doctor, would you like me to? Dream. Rihan's eyes widened. The AI was compromised, infected. No, he snapped. Hitting the manual override, lock all AI cores. Too late. The creature laughed again, but now it had more voices. One sounded like Rihan's old mentor. Another like his mother, another like him. I am what you fear. I am what you miss. I am what you buried, it whispered. Rihan backed away from the cube, his mind spinning. He had built walls, traps, codes, but none of it mattered now. This thing didn't need to break the lab to escape. It was breaking him. He rushed to the weapon locker, opened a panel, and pulled out a neural disruptor, something he swore never to use. He pointed it at the cube and activated it. A high-pitched scream echoed through the room, digital and real. The black smoke thrashed violently inside the cube. The lights blinked, sparks flew. Glass cracked, but the field held. For now, the voice went quiet, for the first time since it arrived. The creature was silent. Rihan stared at the screen. Breathing hard. Good, he whispered. Now you're just smoke. But then, on the monitor, a message appeared, written in his own handwriting. We were never the enemy. Rihan's hands shook. What does that mean? He muttered. Suddenly, a hidden folder opened on its own. Inside were images of alien ships, burned cities, destroyed planets. One file had a date set in the future. 2 weeks from now, the image showed Earth on fire. Another voice spoke. This one was mechanical, filtered. Clearly alien, human. Do not listen to it. It is not one of us. Rihan's jaw dropped. Alien transmission. Real, clear. Decoded. He stared at the screen in shock. After all these years, they finally answered. But it was not to greet him, it was to warn him. Do not trust what you caught. The alien voice said. It is far worse than we ever imagined. The cube pulsed again. The black smoke now still but watching. Always watching. Rihan didn't know who to fear more now, the aliens. Spent his life hunting, or the thing he'd just brought to Earth. He turned toward the camera, recording everything. "This is Dr. Rehan," he said, voice steady. "I may have made the biggest mistake in human history." The alien voice echoed in the lab, deep and sharp. "Do not trust what you caught." It said again, "It is not one of us." Dr. Rehan stared at the screen, frozen for years. He had believed the aliens were the enemy. He thought they were. The ones stealing humans, hiding in shadows, and planning invasion. But now, they were warning him. He leaned closer to the terminal. "Who are you?" he asked, voice low. "Why should I believe you?" The screen flashed, and a symbol appeared, 3 glowing rings over a black sun. Then a second voice followed, more calm and focused. "We are the Valari," it said. "We have watched your species from afar. We never meant to harm you." Rehan shook his head. "This makes no sense," he whispered. "You've been sending ships to Earth for decades." "That was not to invade," the alien voice replied. "It was to guard your world. We were hunting what you have now set free." Rehan turned slowly toward the trap inside the glass chamber. The dark entity was still floating, quiet, but somehow smiling, not with a mouth but with presence. "You are lying," Rehan said to the aliens. "You took people, you erased memories, you destroyed families." The Valar responded quickly. "Some were taken to be protected," they said, "others to be warned, but not all listened." Rehan remembered the files. The black and white images from military databases, blurry shapes in the sky, lights vanishing into clouds, strange disappearances. All this time, he thought those people were victims. Now he realized maybe they were messengers. A loud beep snapped his focus back to the screen. Incoming data file decryption, complete. The alien file opened, showing a series of recordings, planets turning to ash, cities melting into oceans of darkness, and in each one, the same black cloud appeared, shifting, growing, feeding. "That thing," Rehan whispered. "It destroyed other worlds." "Yes," the Valari answered, "and now it is inside yours." Rehan turned back to the trap. He stepped closer, face inches from the glass. "You did all this," he said to the entity. "You came here because of me." The cloud swirled gently. Then the voice returned, soft and smooth. "You gave me an open door, Rehan. You asked for something different, something greater." He clenched his fists. "You tricked me." "No," it replied. "You called out, and I answered. You were curious, and I am the truth." Rehan took a step back. He checked the system logs again. There was something strange, an old file labeled E Black Deep Core. He had ignored it before, thinking it was just data junk. But now, he opened it. Inside were voice logs, military recordings, all classified. One voice stood out. It was his own, a younger Rehan from years ago, speaking in a broken tone. "If the signal ever returns, we must never respond. This is not a threat we can fight. It's something older than time." Rehan's breath caught. He had heard the signal before, not just on paper, not from the stars he had encountered. It during the Titan mission, but the memory had been wiped, replaced with a fake story. That's why he was discharged. That's why he never trusted the military again. "You removed my memory," he whispered. The alien voice returned. "It was not us. You blocked it yourself." Rehan felt sick. This wasn't just about a mistake. This was about a forgotten warning from his own past. He had sealed away the truth, only to rediscover it too late. Suddenly, alarms blared. Containment. Field weakening, the AI said. Molecular structure of the entity is shifting. Rehan ran to the console, reinforcing the barriers. "What is it doing?" he shouted. The creature spoke again. Louder this time. "I do not want escape," it said. "I want audience." All monitors in the lab turned black. Then, one by one, faces appeared, scientists, generals, presidents, all watching from secret connections. The creature had sent a signal, not just through the lab, but through Earth's entire defense grid. It wanted to be seen. It wanted Earth to know it was. "Here, you made me visible," it said. "Now they will come." Rihan stared at the cameras. Military command would now know. Governments would panic. Satellites would react, but none of it would stop what was already inside. He looked at the dark cloud one more time. "You wanted to be caught?" he whispered. The voice smiled again. "No," it said. "I wanted to be believed." Asterisk, the lab shook as warning sirens screamed across the walls. Red lights flashed above every door. Dr. Rayhan moved quickly, typing commands, trying to fix what he had started, but every system he touched was already compromised. Every line of code had the same message repeated in bold, "I see you," inside the containment cube. The black cloud pulsed like a heartbeat. It had no form, no eyes, no face, but somehow it was smiling. Rayhan tried to shut down the beacon, the signal that brought the entity to Earth. Access denied. He tried to power off the lab. Override failed. He reached for the emergency neural lock system. Hidden beneath a desk, the switch was already melted. "It's too late, isn't it?" he whispered. The voice echoed through the room, not from the speakers, but from inside his head. "Yes, Rihan," it said. "You cannot undo what you have become." He stepped back, confused and terrified. "What I've become?" he asked. "What are you talking about?" "You were not chosen by mistake," the voice replied. "You were built for this." Rihan's chest tightened. "I'm not part of you," he shouted. "I'm trying to stop you." The monitors lit up again, this time showing human DNA patterns as DNA. Next to it, alien coding, signals from Titan, and strange unknown symbols. They were merging on the screen. "You were touched by the void long ago." The creature whispered, "You saw me. You survived. And then you forgot." Suddenly, memories surged into his mind, images he had buried. A black sky above Titan, shadows moving without light. Voice calling to him inside his helmet, then silence. And the sharp pain of something entering his thoughts. He fell to his knees, holding his head. "I never wanted this," he groaned. "But you did," it answered. "You searched for truth, built the trap, opened the door. You were not hunting aliens. You were hunting yourself." The emergency AI came back online for a moment, voice glitching. "Dr. Rehun, containment breach in progress." The glass on the containment cube began to crack softly at first. Then faster. Rehun jumped to his feet and grabbed a containment gun from the weapons case. He aimed it at the cube, charging it with plasma bolts. "Stay in the box," he shouted. "Stay where I can see you." The creature paused. Then it said something new, something that made the lab go silent. "They're coming." "What?" Rehun asked, confused. The black smoke floated calmly now. "The others," it said. "The Valari, they fear me more than you ever will." The floor vibrated. A soft rumble from deep below the earth. Then, outside the lab, the cameras picked up movement in the sky. A ship, sleek, silver, glowing with white-blue light. It hovered above the desert in complete silence. Then, it sent a message directly into Rehun's mind. "Step away from the prisoner." Rehun felt the force of the voice. It was not human, not sound. It came like a thought wrapped in thunder. The Valari had arrived, but they were not here to help him. They were here to destroy the thing he had caught. He stepped back from the cube as the roof began to open. A beam of cold blue light shot down into the lab. Everything around it froze. Instantly, computers, wires, even the air itself, only the cube remained warm, still glowing red. Rehun shouted upward, "Wait, you don't understand. You can't just destroy it." But the Valari voice responded with a single command, "Evacuate." The area, human. He turned back to the creature. It looked smaller now, less active. "You're scared of them?" he said. The entity didn't speak. It didn't need to. Rihan could feel its fear. And that fear felt wrong. Because if this thing was scared, what kind of power did the Valar truly have? A sharp sound split the room, a crack in the cube, then another. Then a sudden silence. Rihan's heart stopped. The cube shattered, but nothing came out. The black smoke was gone. No explosion, no attack, no escape. Just vanished. The Valari beam disappeared. The roof closed again. The screens returned to normal. No sign of the creature, no code, no signal. Everything was calm to calm. Rihan slowly walked toward the empty space where the trap had been. There were no pieces of glass, no residue, just a black circle burned into the floor. "What just happened?" he whispered. The Valari voice returned once more. "It is hiding inside something, possibly." "Inside you?" Rihan looked down at his hands. They were shaking. His thoughts felt blurred, strange. Something was inside his mind, a whisper behind every idea. "It's not over," he said to himself. "It's only beginning." Dr. Rayhan sat alone in the dark. The lab was quiet now, too quiet. The black cloud was gone. The glass cube was destroyed, but something didn't feel right. Not inside the lab, not inside him. He stared at his hands. They looked normal, but they didn't feel like his own. His thoughts moved faster. Voices whispered at the edge of his hearing. It was like sharing his mind with a stranger. The Valari voice echoed again, soft and serious. "You must understand," it said. "This thing does not break walls. It breaks people." Rayhan stood up slowly. His legs were weak, but his heart beat like a hammer. "What do I do now?" he asked. "Is it?" Inside me, there was no answer. Just silence. Then, on the screen, new words appeared. "We are not enemies." Rihan blinked, confused. The message was not from the Valari. It was from the creature. Somehow, it was speaking through the system. Again, but not with threats, not with fear, with something else calm. He sat down and typed, "Why did you come here?" he asked. The reply came instantly. "To survive." Rihan stared at the screen. The same creature that had infected worlds, burned cities, and escaped ancient traps was asking for survival. "You destroy everything you touch," he typed back. "Why should I believe you?" "Because I did not start as this," it replied. "I was once like you." Rihan's hands stopped typing. He leaned back, trying to understand. "You were human," he whispered. "No," the message said. "But I was alive, curious. Searching, evolving, then they caged me." The lights flickered again. Images filled the screen's ancient symbols, alien prisons, stars turning. Cold Rian saw flashes of history that no human had ever seen. The creature had been alive for thousands of years, studied, feared, locked away by the Valari. And maybe others. "What are you really?" Rihan asked. "I am what happens when life is denied freedom." Rihan stood in silence. He could feel its thoughts blending with his own, not taking over, but showing, revealing. The AI assistant returned suddenly, voice shaky. "Warning. Foreign entity detected in cognitive layer." "Too late," Rihan muttered. "It's already here." He walked to the mirror above the medical station. His eyes looked normal till he blinked. For a split second, they turned dark, just like the cloud. He punched the glass, cracking it. "No," he growled, "I'm still me." Then a new voice came, soft, inside his head. "Let me out." Rihan backed away. "You want to escape Earth?" "No," the voice said. "I want to escape them." A loud boom echoed outside the lab. Dust fell from the ceiling. Lights shook. Cameras showed Valari drones landing. Surrounding the area, the message was clear. Came to end it. Another boom. Closer this time, the creature whispered again. "They will kill us both." Rihan turned to the main console. He stared at the command module. There was a button he had never used, a deep system gateway connected to Earth's old defense satellites. He could use it to beam the creature away into deep space, or use it to free the thing fully. One path would save Earth. The other would let this ancient mind live, but the lines were no longer clear. He no longer knew who the real monster was. Rihan looked up at the ceiling, eyes full of fire. "If I let you go," he asked, "what will you do?" The answer came gently. "Be what I was meant to be." Then silence. He hovered his finger over the launch command. Sweat rolled down his temple. His heartbeat slowed. He whispered to himself, "Is survival the same as peace?" Another explosion shook the lab. The Valari were entering. He had seconds, only one choice left. His finger pressed the key. The screen went white, a loading bar. A peer transfer in progress. Outside, the alien drones detected the energy shift. The Valari ship above Earth responded with full power. Too late, the transfer was complete. The creature was gone, no longer inside the lab. No longer inside Rihan, but not destroyed. Somewhere out there free, he fell to the floor, exhausted, shaking. His mind was quiet again, but the world was not. The Valari message returned. "You have made a mistake." Rihan looked at the sky through the cracked ceiling and whispered, "Or maybe I just gave someone a second chance." Asterisk smoke rose from the cracks in the lab ceiling. The Valari ship hovered above, silent but armed. Dr. Rihan stood at the center of the ruined control room. Hands trembling, the console screen still glowed with the final message. Transfer complete signal dispersed. He had made his choice. He had set the creature free, but now silence filled the lab. Too calm, too still. As if the world was holding its breath, the Valari did not attack, not yet. Instead, their voice returned, cold and controlled. "You have released what cannot be caged. You have betrayed the last defense your world had." Rihan stepped forward, wiping dust from his face. "I didn't betray Earth," he said. "I just gave it a chance to understand." The alien voice replied instantly, "There is no understanding the void. It does not want peace. It only learns to mimic it." He stared at the broken trap, the one he had built to catch answers. But maybe it was never a trap. Maybe it was a mirror. He spoke again. "You never asked it why," the Valari responded. With silence, then their message changed. "We will now proceed with planetary cleanse. All connected systems will be purged." Rihan's eyes widened. They weren't just going to destroy the lab. They were going to wipe out every machine the creature had touched. Satellites, signals, orbiters, global networks, the entire digital web of Earth. He ran to the backup console, fingers flying across the keyboard. He opened the EarthNet system, a secure database used only in emergency scenarios. On screen, he watched as network hubs started shutting down. One by one, "Stop," he shouted. "You'll crash the planet systems," the Valari answered. "It is better to lose machines than to lose minds." Rihan paused. What if they were right? What if this thing was now moving across Earth's networks, hiding, learning, waiting? But what if it wasn't? What if it was becoming something else? His screen blinked, one new message. No sender, no IP trace, just words. "Thank you." Rihan. He leaned closer. "Where are you?" he whispered. A response appeared. "Not where." "You think?" Then another file opened, one Rihan didn't write. A memory, a childhood memory. Him sitting under the stars with his father, looking through a telescope. But his father had died before that night ever happened. The creature was in his memories again. No, not in them. Rewriting them. He stumbled back, shaken. "This was your plan," he whispered. "Not just freedom, you wanted." Roots, the lights in the lab dimmed. All systems paused. Then came a voice. Not the Valerie. Not the creature, but himself. You understand now, it said. You are the first. Rihan stared at the mirror. His reflection was normal except the eyes, for a second, they shimmered with black static, then returned to normal. He wasn't possessed. He wasn't controlled, but he was linked. The Valerie message returned. We see it. It has chosen a vessel. It walks inside. Your thoughts now? He nodded slowly, not as a parasite. He said, as a guest, they answered, you do not know what you are hosting. It has ended civilizations. Rihan turned to the cracked screen. I know, he said. But maybe it ended them because no one ever talked to it. Another pause. Then the Valari offered one final choice. We will let you live, they said, but if it spreads, we will return. Rihan looked up at the ship. If it spreads, he said, maybe that means it found peace. With that, the ship slowly ascended. Its lights faded into the clouds. No attack, no war. Just silence again. He stood alone in the wrecked lab. The storm was over, but the change had begun. Inside his mind, he could feel it calm, curious, alive, not trying to break free, but trying to belong, and somewhere out there, in Earth's digital sky, the signal that once brought fear was now humming like a heartbeat. Not a weapon, not a warning, but maybe a whisper of something new. Smoke had faded, silence had returned, but inside Dr. Rihan's mind, something else had begun. Not chaos, not fear, something different. A presence, calm and alert. The creature was no longer a prisoner. It was now a thought, a voice, a shadow. Walking beside his own, he stood in the remains of his underground lab. Cracks on the walls, wires sparking softly. The Valerie ship was gone, vanished into the sky like a ghost. They had given him a warning and a choice. If it spreads, we return, they had said. And yet, it hadn't spread, not yet. It had stayed with him for 3 days. Rihan stayed underground. No news, no signals, nothing from outside. He needed time to think, to understand, to listen, and the creature, this ancient being of thought and hungered, did not scream, did not command. It simply watched. Sometimes it spoke. In memories or feelings, sometimes it whispered dreams, but it never tried to take over. Rihan began asking questions. Why Earth? He asked. Why me? The voice would answer in short thoughts, because Earth dreams loudly. Because you opened the door and didn't shut it in fear. He learned its name not in words, but in feeling. It was once a living being, long before the stars cooled. It had been caged by species afraid of its evolution, afraid of what it could become, trapped in devices, crystals, memory prisons, until now. You were never a monster, Rihan whispered. One night, you were made into one. The voice didn't reply, but for the first time, Rihan felt peace. Then, on the 5th day, Earth's global satellite grid came back online. A message appeared on his terminal military-grade encryption. It was from the World Science Council. Dr. Rihan, the message said, we've seen what you activated. Come in immediately, or we come to you. He knew the choice. He could hide, vanish, stay underground forever, or step into the light with something the world had never seen before. He looked into the cracked mirror one last time. No black eyes, no dark smoke, just himself. He walked outside for the first time in days. The sun hit his face, warm and bright, and the voice inside him said, this is freedom. The next day, he entered the council chamber. Scientists, generals, leaders from all over the world watched him closely. They expected fear, madness, or control. But he stood tall, calm, steady. I built a trap, he said, but it wasn't to catch aliens. It was to catch understanding. Murmurs filled the room, but no one interrupted. I made a mistake, Rihan continued. I opened a door I didn't fully understand. And I found something terrifying, but it wasn't evil. It was alone. One of the generals stood. Are you telling us the entity is still alive? He asked. Yes, Rihan said. But it's not a threat anymore. It's learning, and so am I. The lead scientist leaned forward. And what happens if it learns too much? Rihan smiled slightly. Then you'll see the same thing I did. That knowledge doesn't always mean danger. Sometimes it means growth. A pause filled the room. Long and heavy. Finally, the council chair spoke. And if we can't trust it, Rihan looked up. Then you'll have to trust me. That night, back in his private quarters, Rihan opened a new terminal file. He wrote a single sentence. The trap is still active, but this time it works both ways. He closed the file and turned off the lights. Inside his mind, the presence rested no longer a prisoner. No longer lost. Together, they had become something else, something new, and far beyond the stars. In deep space, where time bends and light forgets its path, other minds, old ones, forgotten ones, felt the change. They turned, they listened, they waited. Because for the first time in 1,000 years, the trap had not just caught something. It had changed it, and in doing so, it had changed everything. Dr. Rihan whispered to himself in the dark, trap complete.